Hi, everyone. It's Kristen from Global by Design. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Be Global by Design Cafe. It's been a real pleasure to do these and to talk with all the different creatives and designers in my membership base and beyond it to really talk about the impact that creatives and designers are having on communities that they live in. The impact is intense, and the more research I do, on this, the more convinced I am that creatives and designers really can change the systems and make life better for all of us. I think we just need to find ways to plug them into the right places. This last podcast for this season is with Sydney Sam Scott, who has been an inspiration to me for many years. We were working on some workforce development programs, designing them prior to the end of USAID. And since he has been a big supporter of Be Global by Design, including becoming one of the founding members. I Please stay tuned. Please subscribe to my channels. Let me know what topics you want to hear about. I really want to make these podcasts, and I will probably move to more of a panel format in the coming season, which should start around September. I want to hear your feedback. I want to know what you want to hear about, what the issues are, what the bottlenecks are, how we can unleash the power of creatives and designers to have a broader impact in the communities and systems that you're working in. Thank you again for trusting me, for listening. I'm humbled by how many people have mentioned that they listen to my podcast. Please give me feedback. Just Kristen, Kristin, at beglobalbydesign.org. That's BGLOBALXDESIGN.org. Thank you. Welcome back to the Be Global by Design Cafe, where we talk with creatives and designers about the impact they're having in communities, systems, and around the world. Today, we are talking to a top 30 under 30 serial entrepreneur from Ghana, the founder and CEO of Workspace Global and a Be Global by Design founding member, Sydney Scott Sam. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Kristen. It's always lovely to connect with you, and I'm really excited for this conversation.
So, you are always up to really interesting things. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started and where you are now?
Okay, I'll take it from the top. I'm a husband and father, so that's actually my first professional career. That's what I'd say. And I'm 33. I'm Ghanaian, but I shuttle between three locations, primarily two, so Ghana and the UK. But I spend a lot of time
Right.
in the US as well because that's where my family is based. My brother and parents. Um, I have had an interesting career. I started in entrepreneurship 15 years ago, and I've started in marketing 11 years ago. And so I've built a
Wow.
number of
So you started
businesses.
as a teenager.
Yeah. It's interesting because my dad wanted me to, take the corporate path, and I think that pressure just forced me into considering business as what I'm going to try and do because then it didn't box me into one thing, right? And so I experimented back in university. So I went to university 3 years younger than most people, and I started
Yeah.
my first business at 17, which was a stand-up comedy, live music, and spoken word concert that would go on tour around Ghana. And that helped build some of the world's biggest names from Ghana, like Mr.
Cool.
Easy and Kiddy. Like, really proud of how far they've come. But yeah, those events would have about 1,000 people per show.
Wow.
But for some reason, with events, you need corporate sponsorship to be able to be profitable, right? And we just realized corporates would not associate with us for some reason, and that's what led to kind of the tanking of that business. But it really taught me a hard lesson about branding and positioning and
Yeah.
how you could be an amazing business, but if you don't look the part, you wouldn't get access to the opportunities that you need. Um,
Interesting.
so that's kind of what led me into the work I'm doing now, which is to help remove the barriers for businesses to grow, starting with their branding and marketing, which is why Workspace Global connects businesses around the world to marketing teams in Africa. That's fundamentally what we do. But it's interesting in terms of what I'm doing today. So I've built
Yeah.
Workspace over 11 years. We've worked
Uh-huh.
with 700 brands, delivered over 5,000 projects. There's so many things that I can talk about a bit later. But I also realized that in terms of headspace and mind space and mindset,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and corporate professionals who are also considering entrepreneurship need some support. So I do a lot of
Yeah.
work in terms of coaching and speaking to help
Okay.
with entrepreneurs and corporate professionals improve their leadership, venture thinking, and things like that. So there's the support with Workspace, and then there's the support with me and coming together, just helping people build more amazing businesses in the world. So yeah,
And can you talk a little bit? So it's been a little while since I've been to
yeah,
Ghana or
yeah,
Africa. In the last couple of years, the entrepreneurial ecosystem has
yeah.
really taken off. Can you
It
talk a
really
little
has.
bit about what it looks like today?
Um, so what's been interesting is I think over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of talk about the unemployment rate in Ghana and in
Mm.
Africa in general. And initially, because of the way I would say some of us were conditioned, most people thought formal employment was the only way to go.
That's right.
But the hard realization has really hit both in terms of the populace, the government, and institutions just accept that we cannot create jobs fast enough for for Ghanaians and Africans to be able to plug in. So the case for entrepreneurship has just become just so much more palatable for the people because it allows them to take more control.
Yep.
Everyone has a side hustle, even if even people in formal employment do have a side hustle. But then the beautiful thing is that a lot more people are feeling a lot more confident to build their own businesses, not even as a side hustle, but as a main thing.
Yeah.
And So we've seen the rise of podcasts like Connected Minds that are specifically empowering young people for entrepreneurship. There's been a lot of
Uh-huh.
initiatives globally in Africa and in
Yeah.
Ghana that are accelerating, incubating entrepreneurs, and not just startups, but actually entrepreneurs as well. And there are lots of collectives as well that have
Yeah.
developed, yeah, for that kind of emotional support, guidance, ecosystem support. There's a lot of stuff that has risen right now, and then the government, especially this current one, has just taken a formal stand on supporting entrepreneurship in the country by giving collateral-free access to capital, which has not
Amazing.
been something that
Wow.
we've had access to for a very long time. We're trying to build our own credit systems so that we can credit score different businesses. We had some initiatives like I think it's the Ghana Entrepreneurship Agency that
Uh-huh.
takes and incubates businesses, women-led businesses, agribusinesses, things like that. So the government is also pushing that agenda quite
Interesting.
aggressively, which is just really encouraging to see. So yeah, that's
That's
what's
great.
happening in the
You're
ecosystem.
creating the
Yeah.
policy environment so
Yep.
you can prosper, which is desperately needed.
Yep.
Do you see the rise in any specific industries or is it more widespread?
Not well. It's interesting because retail has always been big in Ghana. I would say just even from your informal, auntie
Yeah.
who does buying and selling, and
Sure.
so a lot of entrepreneurs have embraced small imports like buying from Timu and Alibaba and just selling in that range, right? And it can be extremely niche. So it could be baby. For example, now my kid had allergies in terms of like house milk allergies and stuff like that, and we needed specific types of formula to support with
Uh-huh.
that stuff, and you would usually never be able to get that in Ghana. But now people niche down and sell those specific things in terms of retail. So that's big.
That's amazing.
Um, we are seeing a rise in green and sustainability based businesses. So that's been really, really cool. I've seen a number of greenhouse businesses come up. I've seen a lot of recycling. Just there's that space is also really growing,
Amazing. Amazing.
especially using things like coconut husks for charcoal and things like that. So that's been really cool. And then, well, we're seeing some budding industries in terms of health tech. That is still new, but I know that people are exploring that quite well. And then there's the creative economy and creative economy businesses like Workspace that are coming up. The government did make a little bit of a blunder in relation to the supporting the creative economy recently because they launched a policy where every digital worker needed to be licensed. And yeah, exactly. And
Oh.
and the fee, there was a hefty fee associated with
Oh.
that to be, yeah, exactly. And that did not go well. So there was a huge online protest about abolishing that. So that didn't really work out well. But it just also showed the reaction showed how big that creative industry is now in the country, just to see how many people, felt like they would be affected by that. So that's been interesting to see.
And
Yeah.
I think that's interesting in a couple of parts because it also shows the pushback that's going to happen
Yep.
and that it,
Yep.
it works, right?
Yeah.
That the
Yeah.
government's being responsive
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
pushback,
Yeah.
but also that the government is trying to figure out how exactly to take advantage and like
Yeah.
tax and be able to collect revenue
Yep. Yep.
in new ways. So they're
Yeah.
experimenting
They
and they
are.
found out that that's not the right way
Not a
to
good
do
one.
it. But
Exactly.
it's good, right? Because that's a healthy
Yeah.
public-private
Mm.
conversation to be
Mm.
having, I think,
Mm.
right?
I agree. I agree. I agree. So yeah, so yeah, the ecosystem is developing. It's not mature yet, but it's maturing, which I like. I mean, Ghana now has an official AI policy, which is one of the first in Africa. Yeah, like
Wow.
we had yeah, and there was a dissemination of of education of the public on what that was going to be. It's quite nice to see.
Wow,
Yeah.
we don't have that. So what is your policy?
To be
Tell
honest, I haven't even delved into it too much.
Yeah, okay, okay,
But I can give some more insight on that. But it is online, just to see what the country's position is on
interesting,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So what is it that you're trying to accomplish with Workspace Global?
With Workspace. Okay, cool. So just to start, just in case you're listening to this and you're hearing about Workspace for the first time, so the company
Yeah,
is workspaceglobal.com, and fundamentally, it is focused on removing the barriers for businesses to grow, but specifically to grow their brand and access to markets, right?
okay,
So what we've done is that we realized that to make money, you need, or to make revenue, you need marketing, and to drive marketing, you need creative, right?
yeah,
And creative is one of those things that, it's a very silent killer of many businesses because the world is moving at such an insane pace that if your brand is not visible, if you're not putting together yourself in a specific way, you're just going to die before you get started, right? So we realize that this is something that businesses need no matter what industry you're in.
yeah,
And but the problem is, to solve that issue, you're either hiring in-house, right? Especially if you're in the West, right? Either in, whether you're in Europe, you're in the US, or you're in Africa, you have to hire in-house marketer, graphic designer, web developer, all of that stuff.
yeah,
And there's not as much revenue going around the markets these days, so businesses need to stay lean. But the thing is, they need to do more than they've ever done to be able to stay relevant. So to be able to solve that problem, you would either work with an agency, which would probably cost you a bit of money. You'd have to work with freelancers, which have challenges in terms of reliability. Even if you found a good one, they could go
yeah,
on honeymoon next week and your brand just stops growing
it's
for that
true.
period of time. Or
Yeah,
you could use AI, but the thing, what we're realizing is that if you're not a marketing technical expert, your AI website and stuff that you're going to build looks generic and looks like everybody else and is not tailored to the market, right? And people even just get tired just figuring out how to prompt and design my next social media post. So there's a lot of time going into that. So Workspace is saying, hey, listen, let's stop all of this. And you know how to subscribe to like Netflix, right? So we're giving you a software that you can just subscribe to in seconds, and within a few minutes, you would have an entire team dedicated to your marketing creative, right? For just a simple monthly price, starting at about $500 a month, right? So that's just generally what we're offering. So it's the software that handles all the project management, does the hiring. You don't need to do any of that. You don't even access the team directly. You just work with software and say, hey, I need a presentation. Hey, I need a pitch deck. Hey, I need a website. The system would ask you the right questions, assign the work to a person or a team. They would custom build it for you in record time. And then
Nice.
you can just continue growing. So basically now you never worry about the fact that you need to release 30 social media posts next week, or like, because you always have that team on hand. And the flexibility is that when you don't need it, just turn it off, right? So there are no long-term commitments. It's really nice and flexible for small businesses and medium-sized businesses around the world. But
Well,
in turn, yeah, go ahead.
I think it's interesting that you created it as like kind of a subscription model
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
just a project-based model.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. Yeah, mainly because I mean, sustainability wise, it works a little better, and the market is used to subscriptions. Because the project based model, because of the different prices and things like that, sometimes projects have to cost a lot of money,
Yeah.
and we've realized that not many people are supporting businesses with ongoing support. So your marketing doesn't work in one project at a time. It's always on. You
Yes.
always need to put stuff on TikTok. You always need to prepare for a trade show. There's always something, right?
There's
And a
always
brand.
something.
There's always
Yeah.
something. So if you have to contract somebody, write a brief, all of that stuff every single time, you're losing so much time in relation to that. So that's just generally that. And the last thing I was going to add was that it's also creating flexible, consistent income for people in Africa, right? So that's a beautiful thing. People are freelancers, but freelancers don't always get consistent business. They don't know how to find clients and things like that. You plug into Workspace and you just deliver work, and at the end of every month, we consolidate how much you've delivered and we pay that out. So it gives a lot of flexibility for students, for pregnant mothers, like whatever it is that you need to do,
Yeah.
you can just plug in and get to work too. So that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Well, and you have a team to work with too,
And you
right?
have a
So I
team.
think one
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
things as creatives is when you own your own business or you're freelancing,
Mm.
you don't
It's
have other
lonely.
people to work with and it gets
Yeah.
isolating. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
nice to
Agreed.
like have feedback and talk with other people and, maybe work with
Yeah.
those same people over and over again on
Agreed,
different
agreed,
projects.
agreed. Yeah, and you're paired with global creative directors as well, because we need to make sure the standard is global. So the beautiful thing is that depending on your level, where you're working from in Africa, we're currently focusing on Anglophone Africa, so Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Botswana, Rwanda, countries like that. We will go into Francophone, but right now most of our clients are English speaking. And then we pair them with global creative directors. So they might be paired with a high-end African creative director or an American creative director, depending on what that is, just so that they can get access to that cultural nuance as well in terms of delivering high quality work. So that's how we work. Yeah.
And you have embraced AI instead
Yeah.
of run from it. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with AI. Why should people still have humans? You talked about this
Mm,
a little bit already,
mm, mm,
but like,
mm.
what is the human element needed if I can just go onto my favorite AI site and
Tool
have
and
a
then just
project
build
done?
that. Yeah, exactly. So I think what a lot of people are failing to realize is AI is focusing a lot on output, right? And the quality of output that's coming out is based on your level of expertise, right?
Yes.
And if you're not a marketing expert or brand expert, you're going to build stuff that, yes, something comes out when you prompt, but may not necessarily be enough to drive your strategy long term, right? So that's like one major thing that we're realizing just over this. A lot of our clients have gone to AI and come back to us because they go
Yeah.
like, we just can't get, it's not just about quality, but it's about the cultural nuance. It's about understanding how to respond to human conversations, right? Because
Right.
marketing is a human thing. It's not
Yeah.
just about putting things out into the world. However, we are still saying there's a lot of benefit to having AI. So what we're doing is we're accelerating our project workflows. So most
Mhm.
people are think we are using AI for our final work. That's not what we're doing. Our final work was always done by humans, but then we're accelerating our project workflow by, for example, I'll just give you just a quick steps, right? You say you want something, you want a logo done. We need to do research on what's in the industry and what a great logo would look like. We need to put that together in a brief. We need to find somebody who's available to do that, who understands the cultural nuance in the market that you're looking for. We tell them what to do. They build it. We do QC, and then like QC is quality control. And
Yep,
then we send that to
yep.
you. Even
Okay.
helping you put your ideas down from your
Mhm.
head takes a little bit of time. So we're
Yeah.
using AI to help with that process so that it doesn't take 4 hours or 6 hours to get that done. We can get ideas out of your head in 7 minutes. We can, build that entire process within less than 30 minutes and then, get that work done. So that's how we're using AI to accelerate that work. And it's how we're able to deliver over 500 projects a day because
Wow,
we know, yeah,
it's
because
incredible.
we are able to, our system has been designed to accelerate that process. So that's generally the idea. Yeah.
So one of the reasons I first reached out to you is I heard you
Mm,
talking about branding a few
yeah.
years ago on a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that struck me is 25 years of working in economic growth in Africa. And I
Mm,
realized that some of the barriers is just people don't know how to market themselves. Like
no,
somebody who's selling seed doesn't know how to sell seed because
no.
they don't understand the product and they don't have a website and they don't understand the business of what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah.
They just see I have this product, I'm going to sell it to whoever will buy it, and then I'm going to do it again and again and
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
N I think another part of that is that, in the West here, our marketing and from Africa, our images often come from documentaries
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
news articles, and we don't really see the African brands. I think that's shifting, but
Yes,
can
it
you
is.
talk a little bit about how you realized how important websites and branding and marketing is?
Mm. So I'll tell you this. Almost all businesses and entrepreneurs are cursed with an obsession with product, right? So
Mhm.
most people are like, "Hey, I have this idea, I have this thing, and because that's what it is. Oh my gosh, this is
Yeah,
amazing," and that just takes up all your focus and your time. And even for a lot of new founders, you'd find that they dedicate 60 to 70% of their time on product, right? Or on the service, right? And that's just something that people need to learn to unlearn very quickly. So in Africa, the beautiful thing about business in Africa is that the market will tell you quickly that this is stupid. Do you know what I mean? So that's the lovely thing. There's not a lot of money to go around. So
uh-huh,
people are
uh-huh.
very particular about what they give their money to, and they will tell you. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
But the challenge still is that some people just think that kind of they don't associate that failure with a marketing and visibility issue. You see what I mean? So if you're listening to this today, Alex Hormozy always says this: nobody knows you, and if nobody knows you, nobody can buy, right? And
right.
even when they find out who you are, with how short our attention spans are today, if you haven't consolidated your information in a way that allows me to trust you immediately, know what you're selling, know how it's going to benefit me and how much it costs and how I can pay for it, forget about it. Like, I'm not interacting with this even further. And the challenging thing as well is that we also have the lie of social media where you can have lots of followers and lots of likes and you think having an audience means having customers. That still is not the case. So I've learned the hard way, even as a branding company, to simplify what we are selling, put it in words that people understand, and put it somewhere they can find. Right.
Yeah,
And that's where websites come in. And if you don't have that, if it's not easily searchable, if it's not popping up in AEO, which is now this new thing where you want
I haven't heard of that.
ChatGPT to recommend you, as an option for if
Sure.
somebody's looking for some research, right? That we used to have SEO, which focused on search engines, but AEO was like the new thing.
Interesting.
If you're not positioning yourself in those things, your business is going to die off. However, it's not all digital, right? The beautiful thing is there is
Yeah.
also physical marketing and physical things that you have to do. So I'm not only speaking about digital space, but marketing is essential. Creating brand and creating websites and digital tools. It's your bread and butter, else you're not going anywhere. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like it's not even just for the individual entrepreneurs. You have to
Mm,
promote and market industries and
yep.
countries and to be able to um, encourage people to come and look and see
Yeah.
what's going on
Well,
there. Do you
exactly. Yeah.
feel like that's changing? It sounds like the government's kind of doing that a little bit more.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
industry
Yeah.
associations and other people really working. Do you feel like in doing the right things to promote
S-
business?
Yeah, there's some really good examples and role models coming out. So, for example, Rwanda kicked off with Visit Rwanda on the Arsenal jerseys, which has been really amazing. Ghana with the Year of Return, driving the diaspora to come back to the country. So there are a few things that are happening that are really good indications of the fact that even countries are thinking about marketing at that level, right? Yeah, go ahead.
You look at
Sorry.
the World Cup and I mean, the fashion coming out and the uniform,
Do
like,
you get what I mean?
pretty
It's
amazing,
insane. It's
pretty
insane.
amazing. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So yeah, it just shows how important this is for everyone else. That even a country at that level needs to tell other people about what you can get and why you should come. And entire continents and regions are thinking about things like that as well nowadays. So yeah, it's just testament to why this is so relevant for everyone. Yeah.
And you've talked how you're shifting a little bit from just marketing and branding to
Yeah.
entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and coaching and that.
Yeah.
What tell me a little bit about that work and how it's
Okay.
different?
Okay. So fundamentally, I've always held a belief that the world is going to change and be improved by entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
Governments are doing what they can, international organizations are doing what they can, but grassroots level problem solving for your direct community, your country, happened through entrepreneurs, right? And if you look at it critically, the most powerful forces in the global ecosystem right now is our companies, not governments,
Yeah.
right? So that just gives you an idea of what that is. So I've built a platform called sydneysound.com, and that is an ecosystem. So it's not just me, because I'm looking to impact the next million entrepreneurs and leaders. So it's the same model with Workspace. Workspace used to have 20 clients a year. I want to do 100,000 clients a year. So that's why we're driving the technology bit. So everything is supposed to be scalable and go beyond myself. So sydneysound.com is an ecosystem of services, media, and resources that
Okay.
leaders can tap into to improve their ventures and improve their work, right? So it's going to start off with the coaching, private coaching, group coaching, but then we're going to expand that into entire courses and things that people can do. We're going to expand that into
Wow.
downloadable templates, things like that. And we're going to launch a podcast as well, just interviewing some of the world's best stories. But the idea is fundamentally healthy, kind leadership that is impacting the world. So I realized that there's a lot of talk about success and wealth and growth, but I want to bring in the piece of the humanity of building a business and the humanity of leading a company. So we're focusing both on entrepreneurs and professional leaders, and that's the work that I'm looking to do. So right now we're in the pilot phase. We're building our team. We're building partnerships around the world. We're gunning for names like Stephen Bartlett, Simon Sinek, Trevor Noah. That's a trajectory that we're hoping to get to in a few years. So that's the work that we're doing at CitySound.com. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you have always been interested in running successful businesses,
Yes.
but that has always involved having some kind of impact as well. Tell
Yes.
us a little bit about your definition of success and impact that you want to have.
Right. So I take it in three phases fundamentally. So number one, it's the person you become whilst doing it. So I always believe in people's internal capacity and seeing that transformation happening. So if you become somebody who's able to speak and transform lives,
Mhm.
that state, not just the speaking, but the state of being able to do that is success. The second thing is the people that you impact whilst doing it. And the yeah, there's the change and transformation. And then the third thing is the sustainability element, which is for me the most important thing. I need to ensure that whatever I build is a system or an algorithm, right? Not a technical, not a tech algorithm, but just a social algorithm that changes behavior long after I'm gone. So the same way people discover the light bulb and telephones and how that has changed the way the world has worked, those are the things that I want to be able to put into the world, specific frameworks for that. So I just encourage that everyone who's thinking about the work that you do, it's not just a legacy of, making money, but a framework that changes society and the way the world works. And that's what I believe, success it is. So yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things creatives and then entrepreneurs, and you are both, you're a combination
Yes.
of those.
Yes.
And one of the things I think Lead Global can help with is that you think about things systemically and long
Mhm.
term in
Mhm.
terms
Mhm.
of how do you grow. But
Mhm.
when you look at problems like, that are going on in society, you're not you're looking at it from a different lens
Literally, yeah.
of how can we improve this? How can we change this? What can we do to make it different?
Yeah.
Because systems aren't necessarily different than business. They are in a lot of ways, but
Mhm.
they're not different than businesses
I
necessarily.
agree. I agree. I agree. I mean, yeah, and that's why I just challenge everyone who's building something to see if one, does it improve lives? Does it change how people think? And can it continue paying for itself? So that it can continue impacting people. That is a nice mix of what I think a great business, a great body of work looks like. And it's really lovely to do that as a creative because it's both an art and a science. Because the needs of humanity are changing every time. And so I've even had to adapt my work to align with where humanity is at this time. And if you can't do that kind of be that dynamic, you're also, going to be left behind. So yeah, I love that thinking.
Yeah. So you started off the podcast first, you're a father, and I know you have two young ones at home.
Yes,
Tell me a
yes.
little bit about what being a father and a parent and in a family has taught you about your work.
So it's funny. For the longest time, I have been a full-time entrepreneur, and so it's my identity. It's everything that I've done, and
Yeah.
I've done great things with that. But for some reason, the less time I've had to work, the more efficient I've become. For some reason, I'm not sure why. And
Yeah.
the thing about a thing I've noticed is that entrepreneurship and raising a family tug at the same brain chords
Yeah.
because you need to be committed, innovative, fundamentally innovative, right? So, for
Yeah.
example, your kids cannot tell you they want to go to the park, right? Like, well, at least for now, like they don't come up with those ideas on their own. So, if you don't have the space to be innovative and say, "Hey, today's a nice day to take you outside," they're never gonna
Yeah.
get to do that, right? In
Right.
that same time, you could be optimizing an idea for your product or something in relation to your accounting or revenue. You get what I mean? So
Yeah.
that tug has been really interesting and it's really helped me refine both sides, right? Because I'm trying to work less, but I'm
Yeah.
also trying to empower my kids to be entrepreneurial. Not
Yeah.
necessarily entrepreneurs. They don't need, it depends. They will decide what they want to do, but for
Sure.
them to think about, problem solving in a very specific way and stuff like that. So I've loved what both ends have done. The entrepreneurship has made me a better father, and fatherhood has made me a better entrepreneur in that way. I also didn't really know how to teach. I realized I was a great speaker, but I
Uh-huh.
didn't know what teaching really
Teaching
means.
and coaching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And having kids has shown me how to actually teach, which I really like, and I bring that into my work. So yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it also, I think helps you, dispense of the illusion that you have any control over the
Nope.
actions of any other people in the world, which I think is part of the teaching part, is that you
Yeah.
realize pretty quickly when you have a toddler that my words aren't really getting through, and
Yeah.
I need to change my expectations of the
Yeah.
way others are reacting to what
Yeah.
it is that
Yeah.
I have to say, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. But it's also beautiful to see the value of um commitment over an extended period of time. So the outcomes to in parenting never happen when you put in the input. It usually happens years later, right?
Uh-huh.
Same thing with entrepreneurship. The outcomes in entrepreneurship usually don't happen on the moment. It happens over time. So it's really nice to just see that that consistency also yields fruit over time, from my perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the patience. Tell me about your why. Why do you do the work that you're doing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the human experience is extremely fragile, and a lot of people miss the reason why we're here very easily.
Mhm.
And I really want to help people see clearly about why they're here and what they're doing, and be able to find that. Some people call it purpose, some people like it, whatever that is. But I just really want people to be able to properly optimize the human experience by seeing what it is, and then not struggle to find the tools to be
Mm,
able to properly express that. So, because even realizing what you're doing doesn't mean you can keep doing it. So if I can help people see what they need to do and do it, and realize that the beauty of life is in the doing, not necessarily what you achieve, I've done my job, right? And I think that has been very difficult for me to, as a man myself, struggling with your mental health and your sense of purpose and your ability to provide and da 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 da. There's so
yep.
many things, so many motives that you have to fit in just by existing. It's like sometimes I wake up and go like, oh my gosh, living is hard. So there's so much. And then on the flip side, we're in a world with so much distraction and deception,
Mhm.
in the sense of your attention is always taken. Like there's always something somewhere. It's really hard to, when you look inside, it's hard to figure out. And then when you look outside, it's hard to figure out as well. So I just want to make that a very simple path for everyone to see what you're doing and to help you do what you're doing so you can enjoy the fullness of the human experience. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Mm,
And one of the things with that you've tried to do, and just
mm,
to talk about it really quick, is you want to work in the US and Europe and other places with
mhm,
incubators and create
mhm,
tools and things
mhm.
that people can kind of use off the shelf, if I'm
Yes.
saying that correctly. Can
Yes.
you tell us just a little bit about that work real quick?
So fundamentally, and this work it has a dotted line to sydneysound.com, but fundamentally, I think I'm building certain simple tools and frameworks. So very simple templates and spreadsheets, things like that, that I would love for people to access for about $1, right? Like, just so that if you're thinking about structuring your business data in a very easy way and you don't have, deep data knowledge, you can just click and download that tool and things like that. So that's one thing that I'm doing. I've also been creating frameworks for people to be able to have hard conversations on different topics. So that methodology is also something that I want to give to the world. It's under a brand called Open Space. So that is, that methodology, the ability to create community, is something I just want to put into the world so that organizations and societies can have conversations in a much easier way. So there are unique things that I'm building and then giving to the world to use, and you'd probably see a lot more of that. But I've also learned about that from the different. I've been to maybe about 16 countries or so, just doing work in different places, talking to different people, and I see what's relevant, and I'm able to draw the connections, and then build things that people can use. So that's generally what that work looks like. Yeah.
Tell me about one fascinating or interesting conversation that you learned from in another country or a different culture that maybe you weren't used to.
Oh, wow. That is a hard one. There's so
I
many.
mean, I'm sure you have them all the time.
There's so many. You caught me off guard with that one.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank. So there are a lot of so some of the topics that we've had with one of my brands called Open Space. It has been um there's one that we had, raised to cheat, for example, which was a very hard, like very tough conversation about how certain societies in Africa condone, infidelity.
Not just
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah,
just
and
Africa.
yeah, yeah. So, and we say on the outside that we don't, but then in terms of the practice of the society, we do. And how in some cases, some people are raised from childhood to condone that. So that was a really strong open conversation that we had. We also had an open conversation on the unsettling side of settling down, because I'm a firm believer in in marriage and family and all of that stuff, right? But I think it gets a pretty bad rep around the world because people don't have the tools in terms of navigating that, but not just the tools to navigate, but people are also not prepared
Yeah,
generally for that. And so I wanted to bring out the ugly side of settling down, but not ugly from in terms of like the horrible things that happen to people, but the hard things that are just a natural part of
yeah,
even good and great families, right?
yeah.
So that was a very interesting insight, and I think one of the key insights for me was, as a man, I've been raised to be a man, and I've been raised to lead a family and to raise a family. But then I didn't realize I was never taught to be a husband of a pregnant woman. Nobody gave me that. Nobody gave me that playbook, right? Like I didn't, or
And
husband. Yeah,
nobody
sorry.
told us what pregnancy was really all about.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. So nobody gave me a playbook of that. And then being a husband to a mother is a completely different set of skills to just being a husband in general. Right. So those were some of the things that came out of that conversation where we realized, oh no,
Interesting.
like they're unique skills you have to adapt in different scenarios. Being a parent of a teenager is different from being a parent to a toddler, like things like that, right? So those are
Sure.
some interesting stuff that has come out in my work. So you can see it's humanity, business,
Uh-huh.
career. They all my work just kind of revolves around all of that. It's really cool. Yeah.
Pretty holistic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for being part of Be Global by Design.
Always, always, always. Thank you so much for this platform. I really love sharing my thoughts, and I'm hoping that someone listening today will be impacted. So, Christian, you're awesome.
Thank you.